Okay, everybody. Oh, I have the camera facing down. Hang on a second. Let me switch it around here. Okay. I've got it switched around. I had it down on my table surface. Hello, everyone. I am Christina Taylor, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator coming to you. Oh my gosh, you can see the light in my glasses when I back up. So I'm gonna stand up here. I can see like a little blue circle there. Anyway. I am coming to you from North Canton, Ohio, with a craft along kit to go class here for the perfectly patterned papers. And it's going to feature all birthday cards. So we're doing two um, like feminine and two masculine. So for some for guys, some for girls. I had some requests for some masculine cards, birthday cards. So I thought, well, let's just do a birthday card class. So really exciting news update for the Creativity Barn. The furnace was delivered. It's in place. It's somewhat hooked up. So we're just waiting on we've got to do the ductwork and everything like that, but it's super exciting. So I'm hopeful that we will have classes in the building in March because I can control the temperature out there, make it a little cozier and stuff like that. And plus it'll be quiet, so it won't be like the heaters that were so loud, which I love all of you for dealing with that. And so appreciate your patience, but we had to do something different. So anyway, so that's pretty exciting. So watch your email for updates on that, to whether it's going to, I would have in-person classes in March, or it may be pushed out till April. I just have to wait till the ductwork is all hooked in and stuff like that. So either way, very exciting. So, but I'm so glad that you're here today to join me for this craft along. I wish I could see you just like you're seeing me. And I really hope that you enjoy these projects. I had fun creating them, and we're doing just 4 different projects with all kinds of pattern papers. So it's a great projects to show you how to use that pattern paper. And I think that's about it. So as far as February here, we're the last chance list was updated. So there's some bargains there if you're looking for some bargains. Or things that were on your wish list and you want to get them before they're gone. So check out the last chance list. There was a bunch of online exclusives released, which I don't have my order yet. Otherwise, I would share those with you. It's en route. I see it's been shipped. I was hoping to be able to share the designer series paper with you, the new one for February. It's super pretty with the colors and the patterns of the designer series paper. And see, I'm trying to think anything else. Of course, the January through April mini catalog is going on. So you have those products to choose from. And of course, our annual catalog. That annual catalog ends it's I think either the end of April or the first few days in May. Let me look at the catalog. I have one handy here. Let me look. April. So the end of April. So this catalog will end, and keep in mind the in colors that are in here that have been, they went through to 2026, they will be retiring. So once that list posts here in March, those colors and all those products and stuff like that, it's while supplies last. So if you have any of those colors that you love, grab the ink refill or ribbons or embellishments, anything you want in those colors, because they tend to sell out pretty quickly in the in colors, as well as other things that are being retired. And I truly have no idea what's being retired until just a few days before it's actually released. So we don't get that much notice. So, and then this, of course, is the mini catalog. Now, if you need a copy of either one of these, just message me, let me know. I always have these in the little house. So if you're stopping by to pick up an order or a kit or something like that, or you just need a copy, just let me know. I'll make sure there's one out there for you. You might notice in the little house when you're picking up, I've got so much to talk about here. when you're picking up your kit to go, that I have little dividers in there now. They're like acrylic plastic dividers, and I put, I think, 4 or 5 towards the back. That way I can put the kits in there and they'll just set up nice and neat. And you can just look for yours and grab that. And then, of course, I have other little informational things there. If anything interests you, feel free to help yourself there. And I think that's it. I don't know if I think of something while we're crafting, I will, of course, mention that. So I'm going to turn the camera down and we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm so happy for you to join me on this creative journey. Okay, we're back to the table surface here. So this is a peek at the projects. You can see we've got, so these two are like feminine. And then these two are masculine. However, I feel like you could easily make that you could send it to a girlfriend as well. I love the textures on this card. So you could easily, change the templates and create a little differently if you'd like. So here's a peek at the projects. We are going to go ahead and get started. We'll start with this happy birthday one here. So let me get those supplies. Okay, I went ahead and grabbed my supplies while I was off camera and got everything kind of set in the shot here. Okay, so this is the first one that we're doing. I'm trying to get in the frame of that camera. So we've got a happy birthday and some fun little celebratory sayings on the inside, as well as the floral stamp to go along with it. We've got some embossing on the vanilla, and using some of our essential twines as well as some sequins, adhesive back sequins too. So we're also using the triple banner punch, which I need to grab that one. I didn't get that. So, okay, so let me share with you what we're using on this one. I'll bring it back into the frame. So, we're using sorry, I got sidetracked here. Petunia Pop and Pecan Pie as far as ink colors. Now, I want to interject here because some of you may have the Mossy Meadow, because you might have, let me grab this paper here. You might have this paper in your kit as opposed to this paper. Okay, so if you have this paper, Mossy Meadow is going to be your background where the pecan pie is at. So I'm going to create the project in the Mossy Meadow to give you that alternate color, color layout, color design. But the majority of you will have the pecan pie, but you may have a mixture of the two. Just because I ran out of the designer series paper in order to cut it to complement the card. So I had to kind of like improvise. So you either got Petunia Pop and Pecan Pie, or you've got Petunia Pop and Mossy Meadow. I'll swap that out because I am using the Mossy Meadow, the one I'm making. Then I've used the Essentials Baker's Twine for the little bow that we have tied. So I've got that out. We're using the banner punch, which is part of a bundle with the banner saying stamp set. I've used this before. It's got some great sentiments in it, and you've got all 3 of these different size banners to choose from. We're using it on this project right now, and then we're going to use this middle one, another banner, on one of the other projects too. So I'll put that aside. We're also using the Gathering Leaves embossing folder. I've loved this embossing folder. I've used it a lot. And it's actually on the last chance list. I think it's maybe only like $8 and something. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but it's on the last chance list. And it's a great folder because it's a larger one. So you can do 2 card fronts or a whole half sheet of cardstock at one time. So that is nice. And then I've got the Pretty Floral stamp set. I've grabbed a couple of these images out of here for us to create our flower to complement our paper, because the paper is complementary of this stamp set, which I'll show you in just a second. Got some adhesive back sequins in the Petunia Pop, so we're using those. Now this is, oh, that's a lot of paper. That's a lot of florals there, right? This is called the Floral Charm Embossing, my goodness, and Floral Charm Designer Series paper. And I think this is also on the last chance list. So I know this is a lot of florals here, so let me differentiate. So you've got this one here, then you've got this pattern, which the lighting on that is not doing it so good. It's like the petunia poppus really, really pops on this one. And then you've got this pattern and this pattern. Now, the one, like I said, that I used on this project, I don't have any of that left because I depleted the whole packet of that. So you also have this print pattern. Then on the back side, you've got these nice solid colors to kind of use to complement the papers. These colors are all pictured in the designer series paper, so you've got these to accent it. All right. So that is the Floral Charm DSP. And then I've also used the two-toned, let me grab it here because I tucked it in a pack with some other. This is the two-toned Petunia Pop cardstock. So it comes in 12 by 12. You get 10 sheets of it. I think it's 10 sheets, or maybe it's 6. Oh, I need to look because I'm gonna tell you the wrong thing, and then I'm gonna feel bad about that. So let me look if I can find it quicker than like having you have to. There we go. It's on page 77 if you're looking for the two-toned cardstock. And you get, yeah, 12 sheets. It's 12 by 12 and it's $10. So really reasonably priced. And the great thing about it is that you do get that light and dark shade. So you're going to notice on your little squares in your packet, which I'll talk about, you can choose if you want a lighter shade than the darker Petunia Pop. So you can get that in all of the colors. So that kind of increases your versatility and options. Okay. So let's go over the supplies that we have. Of course, we've got our envelope, and then we've got a piece of Petunia Pop, and it's going to be 5.5 by 8.5. It's scored at 4.25 for you. And you'll notice that your packets are all scored, and I did that by using the Simply Scored tool, which is kind of big for my camera here. But you just put the cardstock in at the top, and then I just went over to the 4.5 and be able to score that at the half mark. If somebody is interested in a Simply Scored tool, I think they're $30, but I had a stamping friend. She ordered 2 inadvertently, and so I told her that I'd see if anybody wanted one to save her from having to ship that back, and you could just purchase it from her and take care of it that way. So if you have interest in the Simply Scored, it's a great tool. Highly recommend it, but just contact me if that's something that interests you. Okay, then, so we've got our Petunia Pop. Then I'm using, like I said, I'm using Mossy Meadow in place of this pumpkin or pecan pie. And it is 4 by 5.25. And then I've got, I've got 2 pieces of Very Vanilla, and they are 3.75 by 5. Now, this one is obviously my top piece because I've gone ahead and embossed that already with the gathering leaves. And then I've got a just regular piece for the inside of my card. So then you've got a multitude of little strips here. So you should have 2 of each of these sizes. So let me put those in the camera there. So you are going to have 2 of each size. These smaller 2, they are only like a 1/4 inch difference, just so you know. So it's a small difference. And this first strip is going to be 1 inch by 3.25. The second strip is 1 inch by 2.25. The next one is 1 by 1.75. And this last one is 1 by 1.5. Okay. And then you're going to have 4 in your kit because you'll have, 2 of each of these. You're going to have 4 of these 1 inch by 1 inch squares that we're going to cut in half and make our little pinwheel design for this pattern paper. Now this one, you're going to notice I've got a piece of two-toned, but I also have a piece of this because on the back side of that pattern with the pecan um, leaves on it is actually a petunia pop solid coloring on the back side. So I just grabbed each one of those. Um, and then I've got a strip for my label punch that we will die cut our punch out with that punch. So I think that's everything that I'm sharing as far as supplies. Everything is flush to the front of this card except my sentiment. I put that on with dimensionals. Okay. But I'm going to layer this, and I want you to kind of stick with me as we go through layering this process to create the pinwheel design so that you put your little pieces in each section that they need to go in. Okay. So I'm going to set that just right over here so it's in the shot, and I will move these things aside. So we'll start by folding our card base in half and flattening that fold with the bone folder. And then we will go ahead and start to layer our pinwheel design. So what I would suggest, what I recommend is you just kind of placing it on your card before you put any adhesive on it. You're just wanting to get a feel for how it's coming together. Okay, and notice how I'm putting these together. And I'm going to make sure nope, I want to switch them. Okay. So I'm making them go to the edge of my card, my embossed cardstock, and all kind of connecting in the center. So there we go. Okay. Which I have to kind of tweak it as we go because so you're creating like this grid pattern. You're putting the smallest one down here, then the next largest, and the largest one. But I'd like for you to kind of put them on the embossed piece to kind of give yourself an idea of where they're going to go. Because you want to create this design so that what do I want to say? You want to lay it out this way so that it will create the pinwheel that we're wanting it to ultimately do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my liquid glue. I prefer to use that when I'm doing something like this where I need a little time for positioning and whatnot. So I'm going to pick up my one piece, my largest one. And this is a new Tombow, so I don't want to get too crazy and it will be everywhere. So I've got some adhesive on the back and just leaving those other ones in place. I'm going to gently put that down. I'm not pressing it yet because I want to, I want to make sure that I don't need to move anything. So putting a little bit more liquid adhesive on this, putting that one in place, and just kind of going around with each piece of that designer series paper. Just gently putting them in place. Let's see. Okay. I'm standing to do this, so I think sitting down would be much better. But where I record my videos, it's I stand here, so okay. All right, so I like the way that's all coming together with my design. So I'm going to go ahead and press. And if you want to, you can turn it over this way. Now I do have like just a little bit hanging over the edge there. So if you want, you can go ahead and trim that with your scissors. So it's important that you do this part before you layer it onto the mossy meadow or your pecan pie. Okay. So then next I'm going to take my squares and I want to there. I want to just, you know what, I'm going to do one at a time because I'm going to shift them and then I'm going to do it wonky. I want to go from corner to corner and I'm just cutting them in half. So you're making two triangles. Okay. And then I'm going to create my pinwheel design. So again, just like I did with those strips of designer series paper, I want to go ahead and kind of create my design before I glue down. I want to see how it's going to look, make sure that's what I want to do, and then put it down. So what you're doing is just kind of taking these little sections, these little triangles, and putting them in the corner of each of the pieces of designer series paper. So I know those shifted a little bit, but that's basically the design I want. I want to create a pinwheel. So then I'm going to start just like I did with the other pieces. Sorry, I'll try to get on camera here when I'm doing this. And I'm putting it right in the corner of that designer series paper. So I'll just keep repeating this process. Okay. I watched, do any of you have Apple TV? If you do, there's a new movie on, it's called Eternity. And it was so good. I watched it yesterday and I just loved it. It's a love story. It's so good. So if you're looking for a movie to watch that's like, you know, good and not too crazy with all kinds of things, just has a really good story, try watching Eternity on Apple TV. It was really good. Okay. All right, so I've got my pinwheel design down. Then next what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and mount this on my Mossy Meadow card base, or like my layer. I'll go ahead and flip that over. And I'm going to mount that. Okay, put that in place. So we've got our layer there. And then I'll go ahead and put it on my card front. We'll just go ahead and put this piece in place, and then we'll come back and we're going to do some stamping. So we're doing a little bit more assembly before we're doing a lot of stamping, but we really needed to build that pinwheel quilt piece with our designer series paper. And I hope that you, by doing it in the different color template, you'll see like the different design that you might have in your kit, just so you know. Okay, we're going to set this portion aside and do a little stamping. All right. Open up our Petunia Pop and then our Mossy Meadow. So we're going to start with, let me see, Happy Birthday. All right, so I'm going to ink that and stamp that down. I'm going to clean this off on my chamois. All right, we'll go ahead and punch that one out. So I want to use this banner punch at the top. And let's see, I want my banner to go this way. Okay. So I'm going to take my strip and just bring it up into the bottom of my punch. And center that, and then just give it a punch. And there's our label ready to go. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in this layer for our inside and bring in my foam mat so we can do a little stamping on that. So I first want to create some stems, the flower. So I'm going to do that down in the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and put some on our envelope too. Okay. So again, this is done in the Mossy Meadow since that's the color that we're using. And I want to create a flower for the inside, for my inside layer over here, and then the envelope. But I want to be able to create some definition with the outlines or the detailed stamp and then the solid image. So I'm going to ink that up. I'm going to stamp it off once. And then Stamp it down. Okay, so it's got a lighter shade of the petunia pop, and then that way I can go full strength with the detail images. There we go, and get that really pretty contrast. So I'll set that aside. We're going to do the same thing on the vanilla. So again, stamping that off once. Stamp it down. And then stamp just directly full strength with a detail image. Oh, I love that color. That petunia pop is so pretty. And that, I think the petunia pop is one of the colors that's leaving here this year. It's really super pretty. Okay, so then I took some more sentiments that are in that stamp set, the banner sayings. So I did, as you can see inside here, I did, here's to you, cue the confetti, celebrate. So we're going to do like all the things on the inside of the card. So I want to do the celebrate first. And I'm going to kind of start down here and stagger them a little bit. So I did celebrate. Then I'm going to do cue the confetti. And then I'm going to do here's to you. All kinds of celebration. There we go. Now, who would not like to receive that card on their birthday? All right. Got those all cleaned off. I don't know if I cleaned this one off. Let me do that. And I think that's all the stamping. So I want to go ahead and close the ink pads. All right. And bring my card back in. We're going to go ahead and put this inside layer on the inside of our card. That petunia pop up against this vanilla is so beautiful. Okay. All right, so we've got that layer inside. And then we're going to put our sentiment on with some dimensionals. So I'll pop that, trying to use up this piece of dimensionals. Just got a few left on there. Take those off. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and place that about here. Kind of like, it kind of is right where all the seams of the DSP comes together. And then I'm going to add a bow. We'll tie that here in just a minute. Let me get that adhesive put away. And where am I? I was like, where are my sequins? I knew they were around here somewhere. It was so beautiful today. The weather, oh my gosh, have you just been loving it? So pretty, so nice outside. I went for a walk and oh, let's see. I'll just go ahead and use these darker petunia pop ones. So we're gonna put one right there. And we'll come in with another one. Put that one right there. And how about one right up here? Whoops. Well, there we go. Okay, so 3 is good. We'll put those on there. Yeah. And then we've got to tie a bow. Where is my bow maker? There it is. All right, so I'm going to leave this here so you can see these two side by side. Let me get my twine. So we're going to use the Very Vanilla. This Essentials Twine Pack is a great value. You get all 5 neutrals, and I think there's it's a total of 35 yards, so you get 7 yards of each one. So it's a great value. I think it's like 11 bucks. Very reasonable. So I'm going to create my double bow. I love creating the bow where it has 2 loops to it. So we're going to go like this and around and around. Then I'm going to crisscross them, bring it up and over, and tie it in a knot. I know we've used this before. You've seen me use it. This is just my bow maker. My husband made these for me and any stamper that needs one. And he just charges $5, which basically I think I don't know what that covers, but that's all he said he charges. And I was like, okay, I'll let the ladies know. So, and he's working on the handles for the stamp positioner, the stamparatus, which, oh, that was something I didn't talk about. I'll share that with you in a minute. Okay, so this one, we're going to put this little bow on here. I'm going to grab some glue dots that on the paper pumpkin, but they are, they're really tiny. So I'm going to put a couple there. Okay. There we go. Those little loops there. Nice. Okay. All right, so you've either got, like I said, the Mossy Meadow framed one, or you've got the Pecan Pie framed one, but the layout is the same. The designer series paper might be a little different. It's all from the Floral Charm designer series paper. So beautiful, beautiful paper. Oh, and here's our envelope. So we've got that. So pretty. Okay, I'm going to clear this space up and then come back with our next project. Okay, here we go with our next project. So I thought I would do a masculine birthday card next. So we're gonna do this fun like basket weave on our banners. And we've got some collage stamping on the background with just some of those fun like splatter elements that are great for guys. I grabbed the Gears and Textures set, which I think works wonderfully for guys, as well as the Nature's Symphony stamp set because it has To a Great Guy, which I'm like, I mean, we don't have a lot of stamps that have that particular phrase in them. And I think this is a great sentiment for a masculine card. So regardless of if it's birthday or if you just need to send a card to a great guy, you can make it for any occasion, whatever you might need to fit that. So, and I forgot to stamp happy birthday in my example, but we'll be doing that on this one because of course it's birthdays. So let me grab that. Let me grab that stamp set that I'm going to pull that from so I can share that with you too. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside while I'm sharing with you everything that we're using on this project. So the paper that you see here is from it's Nature's Walk Designer Series paper. It's in the new mini catalog and it is part of this suite of products. So the Nature's Symphony stamp set and dies. I think we used this before, like in maybe last month's class. But the Nature's Symphony has the To a Great Guy sentiment in it, as well as some nice foliage pieces and some texture and then a few other sentiments too. So this is a nice stamp set, but the paper is so beautiful too. So I use these 5 on this project. This was the only piece of paper that I didn't use on this project because it had the script on it and it wasn't going with the color blends of the card. So you've got these 6 different patterns here, all these different textures, and then I'm going to turn this over. So then the back side, you kind of have this grid, and then you've got these other textures on the back side. So of course, when you're putting your project together, you can choose whatever side you want to. You've got a selection of these papers in there and they'll mix and match. So your papers might not be exactly as the ones I have on this example. In fact, probably the ones I'm putting together on my card here will be different from what I have here as far as they're the same papers from the Nature's Walk paper, but maybe like this piece for me is going to be a short piece and this like blue one would be a long piece. It'll just be a variety of long and short pieces. So I'll walk you through as we look at that a little further. So that's the designer series paper. Again, we're using the Nature Symphony is where the sentiment came out of. We're also using the gears and textures. I'm not using the die cuts, but you know what? Let me grab a card. Hang on just a second. Sorry about that. I ran over to get this card. So this is a different card using the Gears and Textures um, stamp set and dies, and also a happy birthday card. I had designed this one honestly to do at class, and I was like, I'm not being realistic as far as what I can do for the kit prep because I had like 6, 8 different die cuts that I'd have to do for each class with the different gears, and then I pulled the stem out of the Nature's Symphony die pack as far as the foliage there to kind of complement the paper. But I did a little collage stamping in the background with the gears and did the texture with the exposed brick. But this is like a fun masculine birthday card that kind of gives you just some different texture. It shows the little chain that's in the gear, the textures and the gears and textures die set. So you've got the chain there, and of course the gears and stuff. So just something different to look at as far as a birthday card using these same products. So it'll give you a different look. So I have chosen these different images out of the stamp set as well as the splatter to use. And then the sentiment that we're going to put inside the happy birthday is from the Fabulous Sayings, which was the product of the month for January. So if you did not get that product of the month and you place a $75 order, if it's still available, it'll come up in your account to be like, hey, would you like the product of the month? And you can select which one you'd like. This is one of the offerings for $5. The new one for February is a pack of pattern paper. And again, if I had that with me here, I'd show it to you, but I do not, but you can totally see it online. I think I sent that out on my email too. We're using the banners punch again to use this larger banner here for our sentiment. And then I'm using the Naturals Tones linen thread, and I used the green out of here to complement our card. So that's where our twine came from. And the inks we're using are Pretty Peacock, Night of Navy, Lost Lagoon, and Mossy Meadow. Okay, I think that's everything. All right, let me show you your supplies that you have in front of you. On this card, everything is flush except for the sentiment. I did put that on dimensionals again. And I'm going to kind of go over and explain to you how to do this basket weave to try and make it easier for you because it has a little bit of a trick to it. It just gives you like a fun, different impact. It's not something you'd make like probably 50 of these cards, but for a guy that you want to kind of create some different look, this is a fun card. And you could very easily take this card and change up the colors and make it a feminine card too, I think. I mean, you could change it and make it like girly colors and all the things. So, okay, so we've got our envelope. And then I grabbed a piece of, you're going to notice a little flecks of color in this. This is our Naturals white, which we had quite a while ago, but as you know, I have like a ton of stock of it because I bought it when it went, it was going off on our annual catalog, and I wish Stampin' Up would bring it back if I'm being honest, but I thought it would be perfect with the collage stamping for this card. So that's why we grabbed that. It is a 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and I use the Simply Scored tool to do that. Then you've got a piece of Pretty Peacock that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So just a little bit bigger than our normal panel that we have on the front of a card. And then I've got a piece of Naturals white that is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay. Then I've got a strip of Naturals cardstock that we're going to punch our sentiment out of and punch that out of the with the banner punch. And then you've got, so you'll have a total of 12 pieces of the designer series paper in your packet. And most likely these little strips are tucked in an envelope. Anything that had the punch outs and a lot of little strips, they are probably tucked in one of the envelopes in your card kit. So just be aware of that for like all your projects. But you are going to have 3 of the pieces of designer series paper that are a 1/2 inch by 3 inches. You'll have 3 like that. Then you're going to have 3 that are a 1/2 inch by 4 inches, okay? You'll notice they are not pendant edges. You have to do that yourself. And I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can do that. Okay, I think that's everything. So we'll just start with the banner since I was talking about that. Okay, so 2 ways you can do it. I'm going to try to do this on camera so you can see. This is going to be interesting because I can't really see my fingers very well over the camera. So I'm going to try to do this. Okay, so I'm going to take my scissors and cut in like 1/4 of an inch right in the center. Okay, so I've made a little slit there. Then I'm going to go from the corner, angle it in to where I made that slit. And then other side corner into where I made the slit. So it's going to create my pendant end, okay? So you can do that in the center, and then you'll go on the corner, angle it in, corner, angle it in. Okay. And I didn't quite get that one, so I'm going to clean that up a little bit. Because I want that little white piece of paper hanging there. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that is what you can do. You know, you'll make your banners there. But if you have a punch like this, I'm going to show you an easier way to do it. So I've got a banner punch. This is retired, but you might have it in your stash. You might have something similar to it. Now you'll say like, well, Christina, why don't you just use this banner punch? You could, but my strips are a 1/2 inch, which is slightly bigger than those gaps. So if I put that in there, it's not going to slide in freely like down in there, which is what I would want to come up from the top and slide it in to be able to punch out that banner punch. So I can't use it this way, but I'm going to take my banner punch on this, flip it over, and then I'm just going to come in and punch the banner. So on each end. So this will be a little bit of a process. You want to just go ahead and notch your banners. Again, I'm just holding on to that, kind of splitting the difference and punching those little ends out. So you might want to do this before you start. You can go ahead and get all your banners created. Now this one, I'll have it'll be a little bit deeper of a wedge because I did that one freehand, which is actually what I did in my example, because I didn't know if you would have this type of punch. I didn't want to assume that everybody would. So I wanted to show you a way that you can create it on your own. Okay. There we go. All right, so I've got all these little guys everywhere. Get that off of the screen there. Okay, so we've got all of our banner pieces, and we're going to go ahead and do some stamping. So let's put these aside. And because this is photopolymer, I'm going to bring back in the mat that we're using and open up all my inks here. And I just put my finger in that one. Okay. So some of the, you know what, I'm going to put this off screen while I'm stamping because I need the space for the ink pads. And we'll bring it back in when I'm showing you how to do the basket weave. Okay. So let's do some stamping here. On the inside of my card, which I should have folded my card base. I should have done that first. I apologize. Fold your card base in half. I'm going to go ahead and stamp our birthday sentiment. And I'm going to do that in the Pretty Peacock because that is the layer, the color of the layer of the front of our card. And stamp that. Oh, look at that. Okay. This is a good example. I'm glad I actually did this because I'm going to show you how to fix it if you have this error too. So let's try it again. Okay. I'm gonna try and just line it up. I mean, we'll get crazy here and see if I can actually do that, which I'm trying to do it, and I've got the camera over top. So this is gonna be like really just, I don't know. I think there's a little dip in my mat there. Oh yeah, see, that's not good. Okay. All right, so I like boogered that up. It's not gonna be good. So if this ever happens to you, just take your card and then you're gonna make that the front of your card, okay? Because we're gonna layer over top of it and you're not even gonna see that I stamped that there. Then what we're gonna do is pray that I stamp this next one correctly. So I think what I'll do, because I've got a little bit of a fold on my card, we're gonna see how this goes. So I'm going to ink that up and I'm gonna stamp it right on my glass mat here. And we're gonna see if I can get a better impression. See, I'll push down really good. See how like, oh my gosh, look, are all of you just laughing with me right now? Because look, I have really buggered this up. And maybe I need to change the stamp because I don't know what I'm doing. I have really, really buggered that up. Okay, hang on just a minute. Okay, I'm sorry, but this actually is funny, and I'm glad it happened because well, I was going to show you a way to correct it if that happens to you, but obviously I've done something wrong and it's incorrect. We can't use this. I looked at the stamp and I think that I've got something under it, and it's so we're gonna just gonna change gears here. I'm gonna take this card stack out. We're gonna start again. And I went ahead and grabbed not 29 anymore, which is a stamp set that it's super cute. Honestly, this is like, I think every woman should have this stamp set because, you know, this one, it's all fun and games until your metabolism slows down. Like, can I get an amen? I mean, seriously, that that's for like all women. We're in it together. But they're really cute. It's a very fun, whimsical kind of birthday stamp set. I don't know about you, but I feel like you're not 29 anymore. I mean, anyway, just fun things in here. This would be me too. Let's get this party started so I can be home by 9, is preferably like in my jammies and snuggled up on the couch probably. I'm gonna grab this happy birthday stamp out of here and we'll try it again. Okay. So this stamp set is actually on the last chance list as well. Grab another block. It's on the last chance list. It's been out for quite a little while. And I'm pretty sure it's like maybe $14 or $16. It's a great little value too. Okay, all right. I'm gonna flip my mat over and stamp up here. We're gonna try this again. This is like take 3. Okay. Happy birthday. Oh, so much better. Yeah, I don't know what I was doing with that other stamp, but I was not doing it correctly. Happens to the best of us, ladies. All right, so we've got our inside stamped. Go ahead and fold that, and then we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program. All right, we're going to set this aside, come back to our stamping, which is what I started out doing. All right, so we're going to do some collage stamping on the front of our card. And I've got the peacock. Then I want to do mossy meadow. I'm going to do this little slirt in there. Then I've got the lines. I'm going to do those in Lost Lagoon. And then I've got some splatters. I'm going to do those in Night of Navy. All right, so I'm going to start with my lines. Let me see how that's stamping if I wanted that dark. I'm going to stamp it off. So I'm going to do, and then stamp that. Stamp that. I'm putting some texture here. And maybe right here. Okay, so I've got that fun texture. Let's go ahead and throw some on the envelope while we're at it. And do we want some on the inside? No, I'm not going to do that. It'll be too much. Okay. Just talking to myself here, ladies, actually with all of you too. Okay, so I've got my line stamped. Then I want to come in with the splatter. And I think the splatter I'm going to stamp off too. Yeah, because I don't want it to be so overpowering. I want the star of the show to be our designer series paper. So I'm just going to stamp off. I'm going to put some splatters on here. Like 3, I think that'll be good. All right. Do a little splatter on our envelope. Okay. Then I'm going to come in with a pretty peacock. And this, I think I'm going to go full strength with this circle. Do that. Oh, yeah, I like that. Okay. And then we'll come up here. Okay. Something on that. All right. Then I've got a little splatters with this mossy meadow. Oh, that's a fun stamp, isn't it? I mean, it really does look like a splatter paint. Let's see, where do we want to put this? I'm going to put another one right there. How about that? Okay. We'll do all 4 right there. Oh, this is fun. I really like that stamp. Okay. Let me clean these off and shut the inks up aside from the pretty peacock. Because there's a pretty good chance that I will set something in here. So I'd rather close it up and get it out of the way. Okay. All right. And the last one. Oh my gosh, that was too funny with the with the cardstock, just like it wasn't stamping. It was like, you know what, Christina, today it's not gonna work for you. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put To a Great Guy and clean that off. Let's see, I've got all the stamping done, so I'll shut this ink pad up. Come back in with our punch, and this one we want to do the center label punch. So we're going to go ahead and drop it down in there. And it just kind of fits in there. And punch that out. So we've got our banner. And we're ready to kind of go ahead and assemble. So I'm going to bring all my pieces back in here. This one, this one. Okay. Go ahead and put our layer on. Boy, this new glue, I have to really give it a squeeze. I'm afraid to squeeze it too much. It'll come out and go everywhere, but it's brand spanking new, so it doesn't have a lot of ease in it yet. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and layer that on the front of my card. I'm feeling pretty confident that I'm going to do this basket weave correctly. I'm probably going to jinx myself. Oh my gosh, I better wait. I needed to make sure I had that actually the correct way on the inside. Make sure to check that. If you stamp your sentiment, make sure you check that you're going the right way on the inside of your card. Okay. Go. All right. So now we're going to start building our layers. All right. So I've got 3. There's my 3 long ones. I'm going to put those on first. So I have to figure out which colors I want to do. Actually, I think I kind of like this combination. So I'm going to go with that. About right there. Okay. And then I've got these 3 here. So I need to decide. I love the texture side. So I think I'm going to stick with that. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. We'll go this way. All right, so for me, what I did was layer the top pieces of the larger banners. I put some adhesive on them and kind of tucked them in place just like the first 1.5 inches so that they were in place and staying, but I could work with the flap, okay? So let me share with you what I'm talking about. Now I'm going to use some tape on it. So when I put it down, you know, that's where she's staying. So I want to put it about a 1/2 inch from the cardstock that layer. And okay. And then I'm going to do about maybe like a 1/4 inch in between. Okay. Same with this one. Okay, putting it just on the top portion of the banner. And about a 1/4 of an inch in between. Okay, so those being in place like that allows me to work with the lower portion while these are staying stable. So I've got them in place. All right, next, I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to do a basket weave with it. So for this one, I'm gonna experiment. I'm gonna try, let's see, do I want to do, I'm gonna do the liquid adhesive because it gives me some time to position. Those other ones I just wanted to, I wanted to keep it in place. So I'm going to go underneath and over the center. Okay. So here we go. Right like that. All right. So then this next one, I'm going to put that liquid adhesive on again, because again, I feel like that gives me a little bit more time for positioning. If I did liquid up here, I feel like those would pop off. They would move because it just takes a little bit of time to adhere it. So then I'm going to take this one and I want to go over top of this one and I want to make, I want to, I want to go underneath this one. I'm like, well, words are hard today. Okay, so I want to come up. So you see what I did? I pulled this one up and went underneath so that now these two are on top here. So I've started that basket weave here. I'm going to start this one. You see where I'm going with that? I hope this is making sense, and I'm hoping I'm describing it in a way that makes it easier for you to understand. Okay, so then I don't know if that was the one I was going to choose, but they're equally nice, so it'll be okay. All right, so this one, I'm going over top and under and over top. So on this last one here, I want to go underneath, over top of the center and underneath. Okay. So I'm putting that weave in there and pressing that down. Okay. So now I've created my basket weave. Now these are not glued into place. So if you're using liquid glue and you want to just come in with a little bit of your liquid adhesive, you can do that to press them down, or you could come in with a glue dot. So put some liquid adhesive and glue that down. So there you've created your basket weave. Now again, these are the same papers, but you can see that these basket weaves, they look different. Just depends on which side you use. So either way, they're all going to complement the colors in the card. All right. So there we've created our basket weave. So now we're going to go ahead and put some dimensionals on our To a Great Guy. I love the cards in this class because this is a great way for you to use up scraps or papers that you have a ton of and you're like, what do I do with this? You know, just like this, one of the next cards we're using like the punch, and you could just punch a ton of hexagons and make this fun design. I'll go up and get a card that I got from one of the girls on my downline, and she did a beautiful job with a hexagon punch too. So I'm going to just take this and kind of offset it. Let's see. I'm going to do it about right there. So I'm still picking up those banner pieces and I pop that out a little bit. And then I need to come in here with a bow. So let me push these up here. We'll come back in with my bow maker. Okay. Bring that up here. So again, I'm going to take my twine, and for me, I'm left-handed. So I always bring my tail around on my right side. So I've got my tail around on the right side to come around the back of my nails, around the front and back again, crisscross them in the front, take the tail up and over, bring it around, and then I'm tying it. I love making little bows. In case you haven't, you should know that about me. I love little bows. So let me take that out of the way. And I just tie them right on the spool. That's what works best for me when I'm working with it. And then I'm just gonna cut that. Okay. And then let's get some more of those little glue dots from the paper printing kit. I have a gazillion of them. I really should just bring my little, I don't want to say spool, but my little dispenser of glue dots that come just in the container. There we go. We're going to put the little glue dots down, put our little bow right there as a finishing touch. So we've got our envelope, we've got our card, and we've got our first masculine birthday card with the fun little stamping inside. Um, Done. Okay. All right, let me clean this up and I'll come back with our next project. Okay, here is our next project. We've got another masculine card right here, and we're using the Texture Designer Series paper. What did I do with my um, packet of it? Oh, goodness. Here it is. Sorry, I should have grabbed that. So this is the Woven Textures Designer Series paper. It's item number 165560, and it is on the last chance list. I love this paper. Now, keep in mind, last chance list, everything is while supplies last. So the textures in this paper are great. Like so pretty. Like you just want to touch them and feel like that you can really feel that texture. So I'm just gonna fan through them here. I think I've got them all on here. But you will have punch outs in your packet of all the different textures. There you go. I think that's everything. Yeah. So anyway, I think this is on the last chance list. At least it was the last time I checked. And I believe it was like $8.75, which is a steal of a deal. So grab some if you love it too. Okay, so this is the project that we're making. I love the textures on this. Like this is one of my favorite papers. I'm so sad that they've retired it, but it is what it is. But grab it while you can. So this card was inspired by my downline, Debbie, who sent me this card, this Valentine's Day card. Isn't that adorable? So she was doing it on a one sheet wonder technique with putting the hexagon punches on, like making like a plus, like a cross sign on a page, and then doing it in making quarter panel cards. So I took that and just kind of did the full span. Now I know we've done a technique like this before when we stamped on it and cut out the scenery, and that was really cool too. But this is a great way to make cards. And as you can see, you can make masculine and feminine cards. But I mean, Valentine's Day cards are like for everybody. So this is so cute. While I'm at it, I'll show you my card. This is my daughter made this card. Cecily, you're my favorite. I love this. It was a note to my husband and I, and she's recently started stamping like this year. And I love that she's creating and making her own cards too. That makes my heart happy. Okay, so on this project, what we are using is Early Espresso ink. We're using the Heartfelt Hexagon punch. We're using the Nested Essentials dies, and I've grabbed out this shape. It's the second to the largest one, or no, I'm sorry. It's the second to the smallest one. So there's four of each shapes. You've got this shape, you've got the banner, and then you've got an oval, like rectangle, or not oval rectangle. That is so contradictory. A rounded rectangle, and you've got four of those in here. So I've grabbed this out, and then we've got an assorted set of neutrals gems. So you might have a classic matte dot, you could have a metallic rounded dot, you could have the brushed metal dot, metallic dot. Either way, they're going to complement your card. So just know that there could be a variety in your packet, but they are all going to be cohesive and kind of complement what you're working on. And then our ribbon came from this. This is twill tape. We've had it years ago. I mean, years ago. And I've never used this large section of it because it's like an inch and a half wide. I just have never put that on my projects. So when I was designing this project, I was like, I'd like a ribbon, but I want it to be like tattered. I wanted it to have some texture to it, some weathering to it. So I will show you what I did by taking this large piece, and I think I actually had already done them all for the kits, but I'm going to describe to you what I did. So if you have some of this, you can use it. Like I am all about using what you have and seeing value in those things and making use of them. So pulling back a little bit of a throwback product there. All right, everything on this card is flush to the card, except of course the sentiment popped up with some dimensionals. And there's a trick with the ribbon in that, so just hang with me here and I'll take you through it. Okay, the supplies we have. So we have our white envelope. We've got our piece of Very Vanilla that is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25 with that Simply Scored tool. And then we've got a piece of basic black that's 4 by 5.25. Then you've got your die cut label piece that is just that second from the smallest, and it's done out of Very Vanilla. And then you're going to have a selection of punched out hexagons with different textures in there. And you'll notice I've got some half pieces in here. You'll probably have like 15, 16 hexagons, maybe some like, well, no, I'm thinking about maybe more like, 16 or 17, but you're probably going to have some of them are going to be half pieces because on the card, we're going to use half sections. So just know that what you've got in there is going to create that card front. You're going to be good to go. You've got plenty in there to kind of work with. And then you've got the tough decision of like, which side do I want to use? That's your choice, whichever one you want to use. And then you've got two pieces of the ribbon. So you've got a 6.5-inch piece and then a 3.5-inch piece that we're going to use to tie our little knot with. So while I'm talking about the ribbon, I'll just circle back on that. So this is the ribbon itself. What I did was I cut the edge of the ribbon, just cut it off, just a very, very tiny line. Let me these aren't my ribbon scissors, so I don't know how well this is going to work. Yeah, these are not my ribbon scissors. So there, that'll kind of show you. So I took that just a little bit of edge off and then I pulled, which I didn't get the ribbon there. So I pulled the little fibers and then I cut it about 1/4 inch and then I pulled on the other side. So let me come back to this. So this is the piece. It's about 1/4 inch and you can see the little fibers. See, I've pulled those off and then you're getting this fun texture like this. So you all will have that in your kit. And I've already pulled the fibers. I've already got it. So because I wanted to make sure it was a nice looking piece for you and a good width and it just kind of fit with what we were doing. So, but that's what I did. So when you're looking at your supplies and you have some and you're just like, oh, I don't use that anymore. Look and see how you can repurpose it and use it, make use of what you have. So this is a great way to use those older products that you have and you're just like, this is exactly the look I wanted on the project. Okay, we're going to start by folding our card base in half. And flatten that with our bone folder, set that aside. And then we're going to bring in our black base. You know what? I'm thinking, I don't know if I stamped, no, I didn't stamp anything inside. I stamped on the label. Oh, this ought to be interesting because I was using that stamp and I did not figure out what was wrong with that. Like I've put it on something wonky. So I'll give it a try on there, but if it's going to give me like hassles and stuff, I'm going to use that other birthday stamp because I think that'll work just fine. But I really like this one. Let me take it off and see. Let's see. I'll give it a go again. I'm going to grab a different foam board. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start by putting our hexagons on and creating that. So as with the other cards, you want to kind of layer them out or set them out as your pattern, establish your pattern before you glue anything down. So I'm just going to kind of put them in place and we'll see how this all comes together. There. And then I'm going to put this one right here. So see how you've got these little halves and stuff, and you're going to have these little sections that you need to fill in. Right now, I'm kind of go there. And then this one right here. Okay. So I have these extras left over. I'm just going to set them aside because I'll use them either on my other card or on the inside. So this is kind of my pattern that I want to go with, but you can see where I have like uneven margins and everything. I want to kind of make that uniform. So I'm definitely going to change the positioning of this as I go. All right. So what you want to do is just start with your first one. And I'm going to use my liquid glue. And I think what I'll do for me, I'm going to kind of shift things down. So I'm like, I know that I want it about right here, but I want to create, I want to start to create my little frame there. Just, it's like an 1/8 of an inch. It's very slim. And then I'll start. So I'm choosing to start in the center. You can do whatever you would like. I'm going to create my center line here. Okay. And then put this one just right there. Okay. So while I'm putting these together, I'll share with you a story. So let's see. It was a couple weeks ago now because the flooring's back down. So I was doing laundry one night and oh, let me grab my silicone mat. And you might want to grab your silicone mat when you're doing this. Ah, let me push this out of the way. Silicone mat. There we go. Just because I put glue on the other side of it, and if I put my silicone mat down, it's not going to get glue on my table surface. So sorry, I had a little bit of like a squirrel and had a distraction there. Okay. Let's put that in there in place because that way I'll still be able to pull it up and it will have glue on the other side of it. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. Okay. So back to my story here. Okay, so I'm doing laundry. This was like not last week, but the week before, so on a Tuesday. And I'm in my stamp studio and I can hear like I'm like something's not sounding right. Like what is that? What is that noise? And I go look and I'm like I can hear the drain like making a weird sound and I'm like, "Oh, that's not good." And yeah. So I open up the utility closet area and I'm like, oh, I can see there's like a little water there. And I was like, oh, that doesn't see, something's going on. I was like, okay, well, let me just get a towel. So I do that. And I thought, well, I'll just sit out here in the family room and, you know, just to make sure everything's okay. And I'm sitting there a little bit and then I start to hear that noise again. And I was like, oh gosh, oh, that's not good. So I get up because I was sitting on the couch. I get up and I'm on the couch. I come over around the recliner and I'm like, oh no, there's like a river of water and it's coming from the utility room around the recliner on the rug that's there in that area, through the hallway, and then into my stamp studio. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. So the washer was extracting and the water was not going out. So on a side note, I mean, I'm glad it's just like was washer water and it wasn't something else because that would have been real bad. It was just water, but it went everywhere. And we have like a floating floor in our basement. So for kind of things, we put it down for reasons like this, like, oh, if we have a water issue, we can just bring up the floor and then put it back down instead of having like carpet. We had carpet down here for years. Anyway, never really had an issue like this. So we're really putting the floor to the test. So the water, like I said, came down the hallway, through the family room, down through the doorway into my stamping studio, and like halfway into my stamping studio. Like it was flowing before I even knew it. So I'm grabbing everything in the laundry room that I can to put down, like any kind of dirty clothes, like like sweatshirts, towels, whatever. Throwing it down, try to absorb the water. Um, the water ended up going underneath the flooring. So after everything calmed down and I got, the water, um, well, I thought I got it cleaned up. I could hear it squishing under the floor. And I called my husband and I was like, the floor has to come up. There's water underneath it. So our floor all came up in the hallway, in the family room, in my stamp studio. It was not good. It was just everywhere. But it could have been worse. And I am grateful for the company coming out to take it up with flooring. We were able to dry it all. We let it dry out. We had to have let me stop on a side note so I can continue on with what we're doing here. So I've got all the little hexagons down. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to trim these off. Okay. So that's what I'm doing while we're talking here. So anyway, yeah. So we had that happen, had them come out, and we had Hamptons come out and they had to jet the main line. Of course, there was tree roots in the main line. And we're like, oh, that's just lovely. So they had to jet it a couple times. And Pat, who's getting a craft along, Pat happened to stop by when the Hamptons were here jetting the line. And yeah, it was quite an ordeal. So after they jetted the line, cleared that, we knew everything was clear. I started doing laundry, did a lot of laundry because I was really going to give it a test before we put down any flooring again. So did all the laundry. And this happened over a matter of a week. I mean, we had everything torn up for like the week. And anyway, in the springtime, we get to tear up our drain lines because there was a couple like bellies in there, and I guess will continue to cause problems. So it's like it is what it is. But it was an adventure. So yeah, but the studio is back together. The floor is back down. The family room is back together. The hallway, all the floors back down. They came back out, reinstalled it. We only had to replace a couple pieces just because as they was coming up, like little things broke or whatever. But I'm so thankful for the companies that we had to come out and help us. And I am thankful that it wasn't a bigger mess than what it was. But have any of you experienced that before? I'm telling you, you remember it if you have, I suppose. Okay. Sorry for I digress on my little side story there. So anyway, but on a side note, if you know somebody like that does that type of work, that does the excavating, that would dig up a line, we don't really know what's involved. We're pretty sure we're gonna have to dig up our patio. We're just hoping it doesn't involve having to dig up the driveway in any way, the concrete, because that will be, oh my goodness, please just pray about that. Pray I don't have to do that. But if you know a company that does that, I would be very much interested in getting their number because we would be really starting from scratch to try and figure out somebody to do that. So, all right. Now, sorry for the saga of the flooded. Well, it wasn't really flood. It was, but it wasn't. I mean, like I could walk around in here. It wasn't like it was knee high or anything. But yeah, or the water in the basement. So, all right. So now. We've got that. We really digressed on that. Um, we've got our hexagons on there, and then we want to put our ribbon on there. So we're going to do like a faux knot where we're taking this and fastening on the back side of our cardstock. So let me get some tape. And fasten that back around. Let me figure out where I want to put the placement right in the center. Let me turn it around here. I like to use Scotch tape just when I'm doing ribbons like this where I hold it in place. So I'm just going to do that. So yeah, I know a couple of you were contacting me during that time and it took me days to get back with you and I felt so bad. Um, and yeah, I'm not normally like that delayed, but my goodness, that was an ordeal. Okay. And then get some adhesive and I'm going to use my Stampin' seal because I've got that ribbon on there. Okay. And that center of our card. Okay. Now, I'm going to finish putting that together, but what I wanted to tell you, so on the inside of this card, you can see that I put some pieces there. These are just scraps that you have left over. So you can see, just grab what you want to use. Um, let's see. Okay. So you can just kind of place them on however you like. I mean, you could even do them down the side and stuff, but it's just a way to kind of use these little pieces. So I'm going to put that one in the center. Okay. And like I said, if you have a silicone mat, actually that would be probably good for a lot of these different projects that we're doing. Because if you're doing cutting strips off and things like that, this will be a way to save your work surface area. Okay. Now don't forget if you are watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, but like and uh, feel free to comment in the comments to let me know which project you like the best. I always love to hear your feedback, so don't forget to do that. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. All the good things. And you get all these crazy stories, to kind of go along with it. That's just extra bonus. Okay, we're going to try and stamp this and see how it goes. See if I do any better than I did last time. I got a different foam mat to see if it was the mat. If not, I'm going to grab another label and we'll improvise with another stamp. Yeah. Okay, let's give it a go and see. Much better. Look at that. It was totally user error last time, for sure. That user error meaning me doing something not correct. All right, so we'll bring this back in here. So I'm going to put some dimensionals on here. Now, because I have this ribbon in the center, when I put my dimensionals on, I'm going to put them like more towards this little point and this one here, not so much in the center because I don't really want it resting on my ribbon. So I'm going to put kind of like that. Whoops. I'm using these little edge pieces. They're a little thinner. And I can get them off my finger. Let's try one more. Okay, good. All right. So that way, when you're putting that on, you're not sticking it to the ribbon and then it's like flopping around. It'll stay in place there. Okay, so I put my label on first, and then I'm going to take my smaller piece of twill tape that I frayed and just kind of slide that underneath there. And then give that just a simple tie. And let me grab my little ribbon scissors so I can clean that up. So give it a little snip. There we go. Okay, right, so we've got that. And then I'm going to come in with some gems here. Let's see what I've got because I tried to really pick all the really neutrals for all of you. Let me see what is left in here. Okay. Let me do One there. Whoops. Oh, I just scooted it and took it off the glue dot. And then there we go. Put one there, and then I'll put one. Oh my goodness, look at that. That's stuck to it. It was stuck right there. And then I'll put one right here. Okay. These gems out of the way. All right. All right, so there is our, what did I do with my envelope? You know what, I didn't do anything on the envelope. You could probably put some, if you're not mailing this, you could probably put some of these shapes on your envelope flap too, but I don't know that I want to put them on there through the mail because instead of being like one full piece of designer series paper, it's multiple ones and it may get stuck in the postal machine. So just keep that in mind. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and clean this one up and then I'll come back with our last project. Okay, this is our final project that we're doing. So this is a feminine birthday card with some paper piercing, kind of giving you a quilting look. And just some fun little flowers and colors here. This is a kind of a happy card too for a birthday for a friend. So the supplies that we're using on this project, we're using blooming phrases. This is on the last chance list. Things are retiring, so they retire very quickly with Stampin' Up. It just seems like anymore is like so much with the online exclusives and the catalog product, and just I guess the nature of where we're at in this world with inventory stuff and things like that. So when you see something you like, I'd say grab it and get it because it may only be around for a couple months, quite possibly. But I really like this one because I love the font and all the sentiments and the fact that you can put little flowers on the little tails and kind of dress them up and change them a bit. I forgot to grab this little stamp out of here, so I want to use that one. Grab another block here. So I'm gonna use that little guy. So we've got the sentiments out of there and then the little floral stamps. And then I grabbed the right words and to someone we're celebrating every single day is a nice inside sentiment for a birthday card. So those are the two stamp sets that we're using. And then the ink color that we're using is Gorgeous Grape. Your gems in your kit. So you've got gems on for one of each of the stems there, and then I put another little gem on the DSP there to kind of just work in those odd numbers. So you'll have a variety of gems, but they will all be consistent with what you're working with. So you're not going to have like 6 different gems. They're going to be cohesive to kind of fit with your project. So you may have the purple fine shimmer gems. You might have the opaque adhesive back gems with the purples in there. Could have some of the purple rhinestone gems, or you could have some of the pastel purple pearls. So either way, they'll all complement the project that you're working on. I just wanted to make sure that I had enough for everybody to be able to enjoy using on their projects. So, and then lastly, this is the perennial lavender paper. This is in the annual catalog. It might possibly be retiring in March when they give the retirement list, only because this is the second year we've had this and it is a catalog item, but it's currently still available. So I want to share with you I'm trying to get these all on the screen here, the different patterns. So this is a selection of the different patterns on one side. We've got all these different lavender designs and some other wildflowers in there too. And then on the flip side, you've got some more like more subtle patterns or a little more neutral designs with the crumb cake here too, but these soft little watercolor washes and then these delicate flower designs here. So you get 12 sheets of that, and it's called, again, Perennial Lavender. It's in the big idea book and catalog. And some adhesive there. Okay, so your list of supplies here. You've got your envelope. Then you've got a piece of Gorgeous Grape cardstock that is 5.5 by 8.5. and it's scored at 4 1/4 with that scoring tool that I use. And again, if you have interest in that, like I said, Marianne had ordered she had ordered two, only wanted one. And so if somebody's looking to add that to their craft items, I can connect that and get that to you. And I think it's $30. There might be some shipping and tax on that, but just message me if you have interest. And then you have a piece of basic white that is 3.5 by 5. And another piece of basic white that's 4 by 5 1/4. And then in your kit, you should have about, let me see how many I put in here. I think like 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like there's an extra one here. So you should have about 10 per card to be able to make your quilted design. Okay, so we're going to do our stamping first, and then I'm going to show you how to create this design. All right. Everything is flush to the card here. There's no dimension in here other than the embellishments themselves. So I'll set this up here. Okay. These aside. We're going to come in and fold our card base in half. Flatten it with our bone folder and set that aside. And then we'll just do a little stamping. So I'm going to bring in our gorgeous grape ink. And we're going to stamp our "To Someone We're Celebrating Every Single Day" on our inside layer. And then on the inside of that, at the bottom, I'm just going to create some little flowers, and I'm going to stamp and stamp off. So you get a nice two tones there. So it adds a little bit of difference in color on there. We'll go ahead and do that on the envelope as well. That will tie our card together nicely. Perfect. Put a little bit down there. Well, we may as well do two. I mean, well, let's work in threes. There we go. Okay, so we've got our envelope done and our inside layer, right? And then we're going to come in here with our sentiment. I'm going to use the foam mat because it's a little bit larger word, and I want to make sure to get a good impression. Let me bring my card stuck up here. So I'm going to start by putting the birthday one at the bottom so I can kind of establish where I want this. So we're going to do our birthday and clean that off. And then we're going to come with the happy. Oops. Go. Didn't have that quite attached to the card very well. Okay, so then I want to line up my happy and my birthday. Okay. And then I'm going to come in with this little stamp that's got like the little flowers that are coming off of it. So it'll look like the tail of the sentiment has some floral imagery coming from it. It's one of the things I really loved about the stamp set. I'm like so bummed that it's being discontinued, but that's what it is. Okay, so I've got my stamping done, and now I'm going to go ahead and layer. So we're going to go ahead and close our ink pad up and bring this back. I'm going to bring my silicone mat back in because we're going to be doing some gluing again. Okay. So you want to start first by kind of establishing your initial pattern. And what I mean by that is I want to establish the angle of these two pieces first. So I'm going to use, I'll do something like just a little different than what's there. So I kind of want to, I want to angle it and offset. Let me bring this up. Angle it and offset it a little bit. I don't want it to be the center of my card and like a point. So I'm going to kind of put the tip of this one kind of over the P. All right. And let's see. I'm going to layer that one, butt that up against it. Okay. I like where I'm going with that one. So I'm just going to go ahead and start gluing it down. So let me get some glue in here. And because I've got my silicone mat, if I go over with the glue, it's not going to mess up my work surface. And I want to just kind of go over a little bit where that P is at. Okay. So I'm going to put that one down first. And again, you determine where you want to start your point. If you want it to be centered or you want it over here, go ahead. It does not matter, but you want to create that first angle with that one. And then you're going to take this next one and you're going to butt it up against that. Okay. This is like kind of like the hardest part really, because you just have to establish your angle and then you're just kind of going. So then the next one you want to just do what do I want to say? Rotate different patterns. You don't want the same, it's like same type of pattern. So I'm gonna do, or at least that I don't want the same type of pattern. So after I've established that first angle here, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my liquid glue. This is what's going to work easier for me. You do what works best for you. Then I'm going to put some liquid glue down there, go ahead and put my piece in place. That way I'm not getting too much glue beyond where I need it, but I am getting it on the front of my card. Then I'm going to take and put some more glue here and put another piece in place. This is a great project for use of your strips, of your different, we all have them in the little strips of cardstock and DSP and stuff like that. This is a great card to do with those things. And you can make beautiful cards out of your scraps. Now, that being said, I did not have half-inch scraps and all these. I did cut every half-inch piece of these cardstocks. So, but if you have scraps, you can use them this way. Let's see, we'll do that one. Yeah, I hope this class inspires you to use your designer series paper. Like, get it out, chop it up, use it. Let's see. Oh, we haven't used that one yet. Let's do one of those. So you can choose from each, 2 different sides of each paper. So your possibilities are endless. Your combination, both your cards are going to look differently because you're going to be creating them. Let's see. Let's use that one. You're creating them separately. You might use the opposite side of each paper that you used on the first one. Let's see, that's like, do I want to do that? Because it's like a double like crumb cake there. No, I'm going to change it up. See, that's the fun part about that. You can kind of change it up. And maybe I'll use this one over here. Yep. Just talking to myself out here. You're just hearing the process as I'm going through it. Okay. Put that there. All right. And then let's see. Which one do I want to use? That one over there. I'll use that one. I kind of like to use that one, I think. I mean, you really can't go wrong with whatever pattern you choose to. Now, if for some reason you're like, oh, I want to use this one again and I don't have a piece of it, just go ahead and flip it over and cut it off. In fact, let me show you. We'll just do some of that on these instead of using these longer pieces. I'm just going to flip it over. Because when you get down to this part, you're using just little pieces. So some of these scraps might work perfectly for what you want to do. As far as the pattern, like if you're like, oh, I really love this one, but I don't have any more of that left, just cut it off. Oops. Great. Remove these out. Okay, so those are all my like little scraps. And maybe I'm like, let me see if I can find one that I want to. I really don't have that many more to fill in. I'll go ahead and do, let's see. Can use that right there. You're just along for the process as I'm trying to figure out which one I want to use. I'm going to use that one. So because it's just a little bit that I've got left here, I'm just going to go ahead and put the adhesive all in that corner and tuck that in. And then we'll use this little piece of purple up here for that little section there. Okay, so I'm going to flip that back over. Just cut that off. Okay. Move these aside. So then I'll have a couple extra strips here. Now you could very easily, if you wanted to put some pieces in here to kind of create this, you totally could. But this is a great way to kind of use those little pieces of extra scraps that you cut off. You might find that within your kit, you have more than what you need to create the card front, and you can create another card on your own too. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so I've got my angles. See how these were the same papers, but that looks totally different because I've set them up differently. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and layer the front of our card. Card base in here. And put that down. Okay. And then, oh my gosh, this has been a long video. You've had to have a lot of my stories. I'm so sorry. I've probably just like bored you to death with my stories. Okay. All right, so we've got our card together. I need to bring in the gems to get some dots. And I'll just peel these off with my finger there. I'm going to do one right there. And I'm going to put these little guys right on the little stem where it comes to meet the flower. Now, you could obviously put them wherever you want, but I'm just choosing to put them there. So then there is our last card, okay? So this is another great designer series of pattern paper all coming together for you to take all those different patterns and merge them into one card. All the projects tonight really kind of shared that. Let me bring these back in. Okay. So we've got this. Let me see if I can get them like kind of all in the shot here. So we've got our card here. We've got our two. This one's, no, let's bring it up there. Trying to get them all so you can see them. So those, and then, like I said, depending on the color template that you have, you'll either have the pecan or you'll have the mossy meadow. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I love all those patterns. Look at that paper. Like it all works so beautifully together. All right. So if there was anything that you were wanting to get tonight, if you were, as we were going through the class and the craft along, my online store is stampingucrazy.stampinup.net. Remember, you do have to have your own online account to get Stampin' Rewards, and you need to remember to opt in for those rewards. Stampin' Up! Will ask you that, and you do have to opt in so you can earn rewards, and you'll earn 10% back. Plus, you can always get the product of the month that way too. You can, if you don't have an online account and you want to order something, you can always message me and I'm happy to order it for you. That's no problem at all. So let me switch this camera down here. Hang on just a second. Okay, so I'm back just to say we're done. That was a creative experience and we were busy, weren't we? So I appreciate you listening to all my stories. They were lengthy at times, and then some of my goof ups, but it allowed you to see that like what you could do if you made an a mistake and you're like, oh, that's not going to work. But then when you make it twice, then you have to completely, change directions to get another piece of cardstock if you want to still go that route. Like I did. So thank you so much for joining me for class today. I hope you loved the projects as much as I enjoyed sharing them with you. And again, I would love to know which one you like the best. Feel free to put it in the comments within the video if you're watching on YouTube. And if you like and subscribe to my channel, I would so appreciate that. Feel free to share because I really appreciate the opportunity to grow my online presence, and I appreciate being able to share these projects with you today. So, all right, until next time, happy stamping.